はい、皆さん、おはこんにちは、こんばんは、今日のナショナルです。はい、というわけで今回はThe Stanley Parable というゲームをプレイしていきたいなと思います。はい、というわけでこちらのゲーム、実は視聴者の方からね、いつもお世話になっている方なんですけど、リクエストしていただいたゲームなんです。はい、まずこちら、どういうゲームかというと、主人公がいるんです。スタンリーという主人公、この名前、タイトルの名前通りで、その主人公を指示通り、ナレーターがいて、そのナレーターの指示通りに動かしていくというゲームなんですけど、別にそう指示通りに動かなくてもいいんですね。はい。これは、ハーフライフ2の、ゲームを、ハーフライフ2というモッドゲームを、セルフリメイクした、ゲームなんですけど、要するに、そのですね、指示通りに動いていけるところなんですけど、あとこちらのゲーム、クリアというクリアはないそうですね。はい。要するに、あれです。攻略、エンディングはあるんですけど、エンディングが本当にいくつもあって、決定されたエンディングはないんですよね。はい。だから、その通りやっていこうかなと思います。はい。というわけで、早速プレイしていきましょう。GO!
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
スタンリーという男のこちら日本語化もっと入れたので、見えますね、字幕。はいはい、427番。つまらないな。ずいぶんつまらない仕事してるな。押すだけってどういうことだよ。
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push.
簡単だな、お前。それで金もらってんかい。
This is what employee 427 did.
まあな。そりゃそうだろ。
Of every year. And although others might have considered
そう
it
だわ、誰でも。
Stanley relished every moment
は
that the orders came in.
大好きなんかい。
As though he had been made exactly after his
おかしいでしょ。お前すごくね。
Stanley was happy.
お前すげえわ。
And then one day something very peculiar.
しかしある日とても奇妙なこと。
Something that
なん
would
だ。
forever change Stanley.Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong.Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
はい、というわけでやっていきたいと思います。さて、まず、ちょっと調べたんですけど、ここの扉を閉めるとまず臆病エンディングというのがあるんですけど、それは後にしますか？また。やっちゃう？いや、後にしましょう。どうすればいいんだ？本当だよね。どこ行ったのみんな。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
外がまず見えねえしね。
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
机の周り？同僚のコンセプト。要するに会議室、ミーティングルームに行けということなので行きたいなと思います。お、閉まるのね。しかしやっぱりサクサクしていて気持ちいいですね。60fps 安定です。誰だこぼしたの？拭けよちゃんと。シミになっちゃってるじゃないか。あれ？何これ
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左のドア？右入っ…いや、これはちゃんと指示通りに動きましょう。会議室行けってことなんだけど、どこにあんだ会議室は。開かねえぞ。外が見えない。あ、来た。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
上司のオフィスってことは社長室ってことかな。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
まさしくなんか社長室っぽいよね。こっち行く。こっちか。エクスキュートバスルーム？バスルーム？こっちは開かないか。これ事務秘書的な感じの部屋。おお、
Stepping into the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't get incredibly by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad. Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
踏みせていいの？何この部屋は？行くか。おっ。これは一体どういうこと？建設現場ですか？ローディング。
Descending deeper into the building,
どこまで行くんじゃい？
felt a bit peculiar.
このまま俺は外に
It
出
was
た
a
いが。
stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself.
自分の仕
To
事の
question
疑惑。
the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This
何なの
question
こ
would
こは？
not go unanswered for long.
すごい暗いけど。すごい暗いんですけど。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
まっすぐ。
Facility.
指示通りにまっすぐ進みましょう。さっき左か、左にあったけど。押せってこと？ライト？
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
こっちか。まあ、とりあえずね、今回は指示通りに進んでいきたいなと思います。でも分かんないね、まあ、どういうゲームか。これか。
Now the monsters jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally
監視とかお前なんだよこれ。奇妙な。
freedom meant nothing.
いやまあここでずっと見てんのもあれだけどね。やだな。これか。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it
あ、
couldn't
何？
be
要する
true.
に従業員たち
Had
をマインドコン
Stanley
トロールしたって
been
こと
under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring
ああ、
job?
そういうこ
That
と。
his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
とりあえず進んでいこう。
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
こっちか。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled
感情
with
とラベルされた操
emotions.
作盤。
Happy or sad
うわ、マジか。
or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it
うわ、す
monitored
ごい
and
な。
commanded from this very place.
こ
And
の会
as
社
the
すげ
cold
え。
reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this
道理でそれは楽
machinery
しく
would never
楽しいわけや
again
な。
exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
これか。マインドコントロールアイデア、アベイティングインプット。システムパワーってあるけど、オンとオフ。これどっち押せばいいんだろう。わからない。わからないです。ちょっとやめとこうなんか。待って、電源切るってことだから、壊してんだよね。じゃあオフにすればいいのかな。オフ。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
いや、本当だよ。何も見えねえんだけど。
Was it over? Yes. He had
お、何これ。
won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley
わかんない。なんか
reflected
全
on
然
how
見えない
many
から本当に。
puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers
あったあった。
gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to live. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
映画ですかこれは。
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
誰と扉が足を踏み出した。
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his
素晴らしい。
the feeling of
で、この会社
liberation,
は一体何なのこの
the
山奥
immense
に。
possibility of the new path before him.
素晴らしいじゃない
This
か。
was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
おお、なんかしっくりくる終わり方でしたね。お、実践解除しますね。Beat the game。はい、というわけで、今先ほどのがフリーダムエンドという、まあしっくりくる終わり方でしたね。はい。まあ、それで、このゲームは、まあ、終わりではないんですよね。はい。あれは一つのエンディングです。はい。じゃあ次は他のエンディングをプレイしていきたいなと思います。こちらの扉閉めと臆病エンドっていうのなんですけど、どうなんでしょうね。
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a
臆病
decision?
すなるほど、
What
チキン
if
で
a
すか。
crucial outcome fell under
チキン
his
とは違うかな。
responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go
も
anywhere
うマイン
except
ドコントロール
badly.
受けてるからちゃんと
The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will
何
hurt
もしないという
me.
ことですね。
Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy
でも監視カ
forever.
メラがあるってことだよ
I
ね。
will
さっ
be
きの
happy.
エンディングからすると。
Stanley waited.
ないんだけど。
Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer
おい
had
お
the
いおい。
ability to
ちょっ
tell.
と待てや。
But
話
the
す
one
の。
thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do.
でも監視カメラ
Now it's just a little
ちゃんと
bit
時計が動いてま
closer.
すね。
Now it's even closer.
やっぱ凝ってる。すごい。ちょっと長い。あ、終わった。あ、これで終わりか。はい、今のが臆病エンディングらしいですね。じゃあ進んでいきたいなと思います。はい。
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself.
Oh.
This is what I've wanted all
望んでいたことな
along.
の？
I got what I wanted.
一応エンディング、あ、こうですね。
Then Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
こちらは行ってもいいんですけど、じゃあさっき左行ったので、右の扉に行きたいなと思います。はい。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge
あ、
first,
休憩室
just
満
to
喫しちゃう
admire
んだ
it.
休憩室なんだ。
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring.
いや、
It had
汚れて
really
るけ
been
どな、
worth
こういう
the
紙と
detour
か。
after
汚
all,
れてるけどね。
just to spend a few moments here in
随
this
分と汚れてるけどね。
immaculate,
コップと
beautifully
か置いてあるし。
constructed room.
倒れてるよ、ちょっと。
Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
いい様子、なんか、じゃあ進んでいこ
But eager to get back to business,
戻りたいんだかい？
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
こっち？どうする？こっち行くか、どっち？こっちか、じゃあ、シード
And
リ。
so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on
これ思っ
track.
たけど、またあれなんじゃないか？これどこ行くんだろう？まあ降りるか。お、ローディング入ったぞ。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
おい、慣れたどうした？
From here, it's, left.
レフト。了解。
Oh no.
Oh!
It's to the right, my mistake. No,
What?
no, 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 not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
どっちだどっちだどっちだ。
It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
おい、ナレーター、おい、ナレーター何してるお前。
No, let's...
おい。
We went down, right, left, down, left, right.
お前、ナレーター何ちゃんとしろよ。
Okay, yes. I've got
パンパンじゃねえおい。
This story is absolutely, definitely
おい、そっちかい。
this way.
うわ、車じゃん。あれ、乗れねえのかい。結局、右と左じゃなくて、こっちね。まあいいけど。
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to
Ah!
be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
おい、これさっき撮ったぞ、おい。
Okay, 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 okay. We just have to get back to oh.
何がネタバレじゃい。
It's all rubbish now. The whole story
へ
is
へ
unusable.
ちょっと待ってよ、お前。
How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this
Wait.
time, suppose we
Wait.
don't wander so far
Wait.
off track, hmm?
おめえ。
From the top.
はは。はい。先のが混乱エンディングと呼ばれるものですね。はい。まあ、あれはまさしくしっくりこないですね。ちゃんとした道を行けということなんですけど。じゃあ、また、今回これで最後にしたいなと思います。次の。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
いや、
Perhaps
行き
he
ま
had
せんよ、もう
simply
会議
missed
室
a
には
memo.。
先ほど右の部屋に入って
When
あ
Stanley...
れ
Wait.
なんだこれ
What? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely
あれおかし
restarted
くない
the
ちょっ
game
と。
over
あ、
completely
いろいろ
fresh.
と繋がってるな。
Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
いや、面白い。
Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the
そうだよ。
story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure.
うおー
Come, Stanley.
どういうことだ
Find the story.
ちょっと待て。ですね。これは一体。あ、繋がってるんかい。これどうすればいいんだろう。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again. But it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
あ、さて、また来たわけだが。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
それな。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
そうそうそう。そんで、ここ入ったら、おい！扉がない！
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this
おい、
wrong.
どういうことだいこれ。
Possible the story is
やばい、
back
面白い
where
な
we
このゲ
just
ーム。
came from.
え？
Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
よし、戻ろう。戻りましょう。はい、じゃあジュース来て、ジュースつかコーヒー。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
おい、これなんだこれ。
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and
Eh?
retrace our steps.
なんだここは。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this
見覚え
place at all.
なさすぎだわ。
Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't
覚えて
quite
るわけねえ
recall,
だろ、
but
こんな
I
初めて
believe
だ。
my story took place in an office building.
あ、
Is that correct? Do you remember,
これ
Stanley?
から窓割って逃げようか
Well,。do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good
面白い
job.
ね、これ。ちょっと。
Oh no.
だよ、当たり前だよ。
feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square. And this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
The Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
でも今回従いましょう。今回は従いましょう。また変なとこ行くんじゃねえの。
You see, the line knows where the story is.
ちゃんと目を通りましょうね。
Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
上は通れないぞ。壁は通りませんよ。超人じゃないんで。
You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
おい、なんだこれ。おい、何ですかこれは一体。なんか俺までおかしくなってきたぞ。
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
よく目に焼き付けろとのことですね。よし、オッケー。俺の記憶は完璧だ。ちょっと待って、これすごい面白いな。やばいな、おい。
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
あれどう来たんだっけ、俺。あ、こう来たんだ。ちょっとライン戻ってみるか。あ、戻ってきたよ。とりあえず進んでいくか。やばい、これ面白い。いや、ありがとう、リクエストしてくれた人。とてもじゃないけど面白い。おお、ダメだ。言っちゃダメなパターンだった。またあそこのリスタートがかかる的な感じだな。とりあえずこっち進んでいきたいなと思います。あれ？どういうこと？ちょっと待てよ。俺は一体どう来たんだ？ん？ちょっち待って。だよね、こっからこう来てさ、シダ入って、なんか変わった？いや、あんまっていうか変わってないでしょ。あれ？で、オフィスに戻ってきたっつったのいいけど、さっきこれシダなかったよね、こっち来たわけ。とりあえずこっち進むか。なら。ちょいと探索。
Still missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own.
この子は有名なやつですね。とりあえずまたこっち進むか。でもな、行きたくないんだよな。
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this?
After
we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
あ、またライン引かれてるぜ。まあいいや、行こう。アドベンチャー。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
いや、どうだかそれは知らないな。
Daring, mysterious.
いや、ハラハラしてるよ、もう。
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
いや、合ってない どもが、あ、でも473。あ、でも4人。
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and
おい、
Stanley
お
for
か
a
しい
new
し。
path, a new story. Well, it could be anything.
また。
What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your
おい、ちょっと待って。
imagination.
適当に考えようとお前何問題？
I'm ready for it.
何私たちで作ろうって。
Oh no, not you again. Stanley.
私は壁の上はいけない
I'd also like to veto
と。
the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
TM は無視してください。無視するも何もこっちに進むしかないんだから。ああ、オッケーオッケー。わお。
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere the place where we're trying to go
しかしこのゲーム面白い。
reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory.
まあいいや、シーゾンに置こう。
Come, Stanley.
動いても変わ
Our
っちゃったから。
destiny awaits.
行くしかないね。
Oh, hold up, what's this?
あれ結果変わんねえじゃねえか。左もこっちやん。
You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending?
やばい、面白い。
Start the game eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
スケジュールなんかいこれは。
My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide?
怒って
Why
る。
don't I get a say in all of this?
いや、面白いな。これは。
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it?
どうだ
Did
ろう
we break
ね
the。cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
それな、本当だよ。
So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree?
いや、面
I'm
白
not
い。
quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
なんでその
We'll
うち
find
じゃ
out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
お
All of his co-workers were gone.
さあ、
What could it mean?
本当のま
Stanley
たり。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
さ
missed
て
the memo.
次こそ多分大丈夫だろう。来た
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
ー。いやしかし
he
あの
entered
一
the
つのエンディング
door
で
on his
長
left.
いですね、非常に。あれはどういうエンディングなんだろうな。本当にあれはなんだろう。あ、あれがまさか混乱エンドの続きか。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
はい、ここ
Wow.
ね。
Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first
そん
open
で
door
さっき
on
こっ
his
ち行っ
left.
たんだけど、ここで混乱エンディングが始ま
And
った
so
んだ
he
な。
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
わお、ここへ来るの
Yet there
か。
was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office.
次ここで下降り階段を降りると
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
これはなんていうあれなんだろう。これはですね、ちょっと待ってください。マリエラという狂気エンドになるらしいですね。狂気エンドって怖いなおい。なんかあかんよ。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the word for it. I'm dreaming! He thought, this is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Wow, we did it!
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep,
面白いねこれ本当に
responsibility for himself.
本当にありがたい
Stanley is
お
as
すすめして
awake
くれた
right now as he's ever been in his life. Now hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all,
いや夢ならなんかつねてみたとだほほ
that this was in fact a dream.
てか本当なんですかね夢なら痛くないっていうのは
magical stars just a moment ago. How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control. That this was a dream.
まあ俺がコントロールしてるけどな
So he closed
キーボード
his
と回
eyes
して
gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
ははは残念でしたね夢ではなかったようです
Stanley began screaming.
Ah!
Someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh. なんも。
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
はい。
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
なるほど。はあ。要するにマリエラという女性の話だったのかな。はい。はい、というわけで、今回はこのザ・スタンリー・パラブル、ここまでにしたいなと思います。はい。というわけで、いくつかエンディングがあるんですけど、全然まだ少ないですね。ああ、また変わってるね、ちょっと。
Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be
というわけでね、今回ちょっとここまでにしたいなと思います。はい。じゃあ次回もまたこれで続きのエンディングとかやっていきたいなと思うのでね、ぜひぜひご視聴よろしくお願いします。あとリクエストしていただいた方、本当にありがとうございます。面白いです。はい。はい、というわけで、今回またいつもと挨拶していきましょう。じゃあまたな。